Could you see yourself not creating content and working in another field?
No, I'm not good at anything else besides this. Sometimes I feel fucking. What's the R word? I can't say the R word, but I feel like sometimes I feel very slow compared to everyone else in other fields.
What do you mean, just as far as like skill sets?
Yeah. Even like doing math. I'm not good at math. I fucking ask Siri to do math for me. Like remembering shit. I'm horrible at remembering shit. I can do something like right now or read something right now and then like tomorrow completely forget what the fuck I just read.
Right.
You know? But that's cuz like my focus is not there. My focus is just purely creative, I think.
No, yeah. Also, this whole content creation stuff, as far as like memory, sure, at least if you're doing skits, you might have that short term memory where you got to remember some lines to cramp up in the next hour or two, and then boom, you completely forget everything. But for the most part, it's like you're so concentrated on that one project for a couple of days. Once the project's done, you completely forget about that shit.
Yeah.
Just this week, I was sitting down and I was just going through old videos that we created, and I was just watching some skits, and I was like, bro, we're fucking good at this shit. Like, we make some good content, not to toot our own horns, but I'm like, yo, we've made some legendary, funny ass skits where I'm sitting there and I'm dying at my own shit. I'm like, yo, this
Mhm.
is hilarious.
Yeah,
Um,
especially if you haven't seen it like in a long time.
right, right. But it just goes back to like you're so concentrated on that content, and then once you drop it, you might look at it for a couple of days or a week or two, and then after that, you just completely forget about that shit.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly, bro. Like even right now, like I don't go back to my fucking skits and watch them.
Yeah,
I feel like once I'm like I watch that shit like at least 300 times when I'm creating it, but once it's out, I'm like, okay, never again. I'm so fucking tired of seeing this
yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Same with vlogs too. I haven't even gone back to older vlogs that I've created to like just watch it.
Right.
So I don't know. I feel like once I'm done with something, I just put it to the past and on
Yeah.
to the next one.
It's crazy because there's a lot of industries that are like that. Like, I would also argue that the sports industry is very much like that. It's never about what you did in the past, it's about what you're currently doing right now. And
Yeah,
then once, like, if you have a game that you're playing today, tomorrow that game doesn't matter anymore. All that matters is that you either
right.
won or lost.
Same with music artists.
Yeah,
It's not about the hits that they put out. It's about the hits that they're putting out now.
right. Well, but I would argue with music, sure, that content and movies and things like that could be timeless, but I think music is even more timeless than great movies, because for you to sit down and watch a great movie or a great piece of content is going to take you a couple of minutes, and you have to kind of have your undivided attention where you're listening and seeing the video. But with music, it could just be a feeling, it could be a vibe, you could just be listening to it. You could play it at a fucking, you could be in Hawaii, you could play that same shit walking down the street in the suburbs or whatever the case may be. So I think
Yeah.
music has more of that timeless element towards it. But I definitely agree with you. If you don't continue putting out hits as an artist, you become irrelevant. They just remember,
Yeah.
oh, that guy that did that one song.
Well, yeah, especially in the hip hop world, I think. Cuz I feel like rock, pop and all that stuff, those type of music live for a long time. But I feel like in the hip hop world like they need to be relevant for you to like do shows and all that stuff.
Well, I'd say yes, because it's usually the artists that aren't um what's the word I'm looking for? They're not progressing the music, like the hip hop music. You're only gonna really listen to certain artists from a couple of years ago because they just sound so different than everybody else. If there's an artist that kind of sounds like everybody, their songs is harder for their songs to become timeless. Like a Logic, for example. Sure, Logic
Okay.
has great songs, but he just sounds like a mashup of so many artists, like a J. Cole, a Drake, a Kendrick Lamar. I mean, sure, nowadays he's so big that he's very well known for the way that he raps. You can definitely tell, oh, okay, this is Logic on this song. But I also think that artists like Travis Scott, for example, he sounds so different than everybody else that his music could be has a higher chance of being timeless. Like you could listen to that same song years later, as opposed to like a little baby, for example. There's
Right.
most of the songs that he creates sounds like a lot of the other songs that he created. Even Drake nowadays, I feel like Drake sounds like the same Drake for the past.
Look.
Oh, okay, all right. Oh, nice testicles.
Sorry, I'm switching my batteries because my battery fucking died. But keep talking.
Like Drake for the past 5 years or so, even longer probably. Like the last couple of albums, he's kind of been sounding the same. So I don't feel like he's done something to progress his music. Not that it's bad music, it's still great music, but I don't think it's
Yeah.
like timeless music. I don't think it's an album that somebody's going to go back to and be like, oh, okay. It feels, when I listen to this album, it feels like I'm in this era. You know, like when you listen to My Dark,
My
Beautiful,
beautiful, dark, twisted fantasy.
yes, by Kanye West, I feel like I'm in the 2010s, like early 2010s, around that era, you know? So I just think that specific artists are able to push that feeling because they don't sound like everybody else.
Yeah.
And they're constantly evolving because if you're getting the same version of that artist for the last decade or two, then
Oh,
you
they're
kind
gonna
of
get
forget
played
about
out.
them. It's like Rick Ross, for example. Rick Ross has been sounding the same for the past 2 decades, and I fucking, you know me, I fucking love Rick Ross.
Yeah.
But I
And like even like Fetty Wap, he came out the same time as Post Malone, pretty much. Same time period. But Post right now is putting hits upon hits because his style is completely changing. Like
Yeah.
the music he's putting out now is completely different than White Iverson.
right,
But Fetty Wap, on the other hand, kind of kept on the same style.
yeah,
But yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying. It does depend on the artist to evolve and in order to like be relevant. But there are certain things, certain like pieces of work that will live forever. You know,
Right.
even with like Bob Marley and Bee Gees and Beatles and you know these people, like their music is still going to be played 100 years from now, I think.
yeah. I agree.
But yeah, I guess that's the key, huh? Is creating timeless material. But I do think that music does facilitate that more than movies. Because right now, if I watch an old ass movie, like most of the time, I'm paying attention to like how shitty it's shot.
Right,
You know, how shitty the quality is
right.
versus like the storyline or whatever. So I do feel like it's a little bit more difficult when it comes to movies versus music. Because
Yeah,
even if it sounds old, like it still sounds good.
yeah. No, I agree. It has that nostalgic feeling to it.
Yeah.
But with movies, it's a little bit different because the technology's so good nowadays, especially when it comes to like CGI and special effects,
Hmm.
that when you look at old movies with CGI and special effects, and it just doesn't look right, it already takes you away from the moment.
Yeah, which is part of the reason why I haven't gotten into like Star Wars.
Hmm.
But you told me that they remastered the VFX and all that stuff. So
Yeah,
that's what's considering me like that's what's making me consider watching it
right.
because of the remastered versions.
And even still, like I would still say that even though it's been remastered, you can't compare it to a Star Wars that drops last year or this year or whatever the case may be. But it's still,
No.
compared to the original, is 1,000 times better.
Right. No, I bet. Because that shit came out when in the 70s, 80s.
I think it was the 70s. I'm not sure. I forgot.
That's old.
Hmm.
That's 40 years old right there.
It's crazy how George Lucas literally created Star Wars, and he became a billionaire just off creating that right there.
Ain't that something?
He created literally an entire world, like an entire universe.
Yeah. Bro, I find it like not on to be on George Lucas's level, but I find it mind blowing that old skits that I made like when I first started back in like 3, 4 years ago, I'm still getting paid for.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? I feel like it's cheating. like, like I'm not like it's just people watch it and you get compensated for it because you're the creator.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty mind blowing that we can get paid like that for old content.
It just comes to show how important it is to really just work on yourself and be able to put out what you want to put out, whether it's music, whether it's like art, whether it's content, whatever the thing is, as long as you keep chipping away at it, eventually it's going to pay off, especially because in the beginning, it's hard for things to pay off because you don't have a portfolio. So
Yeah.
if I log on to your page and I saw this dope ass video that you created, but you don't have anything else on your page, it's like, all right, maybe he's just that one off guy. Just like you see thousands of people throughout history create one dope song and then they're gone. Like Sir Mix-a-Lot. I like big butts. That's all he created. He's had other songs, but
Right.
nobody cares about them.
Yeah.
So when you have that portfolio and people could log in and they can sit there and watch like 20 minutes of different videos that you created, I think now you start reaping those benefits.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because in the beginning you don't even expect like to get paid. Like I don't know, like when I first started putting out skits, I wasn't getting paid, at all. Even people like doing Vine, they weren't getting paid for that shit until like years later when there was ways of monetizing it. Once you did have a following, then you're able to monetize,
Yeah.
you know?
They weren't getting paid directly, but they were indirectly getting paid because
Because of like brand deals.
with brand deals, with
But I'm talking about like just the materials that they're putting out for
right,
free,
like monetizing on the actual content.
Yeah, exactly.
No, yeah, for sure. But I think there's always a way to profit off of having eyeballs on you. Whether if it's
Yeah,
not monetizing, there's different ways that you could go about it.
for sure. But there was no model, like especially for Vines back in the days, for you to get compensated until like they made a compilation and put it out on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're able to like actually monetize because the watch time and the pre-roll ads would actually compensate them for it.
Right.
And I think it's also great that like there's new platforms, maybe even like the same platforms with some new features that are paying you, so then like that's another opportunity to make money off of old content.
Yeah.
Like Instagram Reels, for example, you know, like you can post a bunch of old material that you already made and put it on there right now and actually get paid from with the bonuses and
Yep.
stuff.
Yep.
Not every creator is getting that, but like once you do happen to get that or even get a new feature, new way to monetize, that's a whole different way of getting compensated for older work.
Yeah. Yeah. We're super blessed to be in this position.
Yeah, I
Honestly.
mean we're blessed to have a big catalog,
Right.
and it's not even that big.
It's really not.
Imagine
But-
the people that have thousands of videos.
Yeah. Well, that's because, for the most part, our videos take a little bit more to produce.
Yeah, but I feel like it's more about the idea, like the original idea that's why it made it so good. Because like you could have 1,000 ideas, but they could all be shit, and they don't compensate you in any way. But the fact that they were like originals and they resonated with people and they related to people, that's what made us get compensated for it and reach more people.
I'm also like 50-50 on that because you've also seen those creators that have 1,000 bad ideas, but they put out those 1,000 bad ideas in a span of like 3-4 months, and they just get traction because they've been putting out so much ideas. The algorithm picks it up, or whatever the case may be. They have that one-off video that people resonate with, you know?
Yeah, but that's also subjective. Like, because even like the fact that something is good is subjective, you
Right.
know? Because the audience gets to decide that, even though it's shit,
Right.
it
Like,
could be good.
to me, for example, I'm sure you've seen that guy. He's African, but he lives in Italy, and he does that one joke where he kind of like shows people how easy it
Yeah,
actually is. Then he just goes
yeah, yeah.
like when
I forgot his name.
me too.
I forgot his name, but I know who you're talking about. He's like huge on TikTok, right?
TikTok on everything, bro. He's fucking massive, like massive.
Yeah,
He's one of the biggest creators right now
yeah.
in
It
the
helps the
world.
fact that he doesn't talk either.
He doesn't say anything,
So he
and
like actually anybody watching his shit can understand.
right, and it's funny because he literally went against what was trending at the time, because what was kind of trending is people showing like these creative ways of doing something, and then he kind of breaks it down and shows you how stupid it is, like this is how you could
Yeah,
just actually do it. But after
yeah,
watching like 4 or 5 of his videos, I'm like, okay, like I already know what to expect. It's not really that funny. But that's subjective to me because the rest of the
yeah.
world thinks differently. This man is literally everywhere. He's fucking huge,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, things are definitely subjective because I get comments sometimes on Facebooks of like people just bashing on my videos, just saying how shitty it is. But yet there's so many other people who actually like it, you know? So
Yeah.
it's like, to me, it's just like whatever. It's your opinion. Well, other people like it, and same way with me. Like, I don't like a lot of stuff that other people like,
Yeah.
you know, and I like stuff that other people don't like. So it's everyone has an opinion.
Yeah. No, for
And if you're a
sure.
content creator and you understand that, then you're gonna have a much easier time, like accepting like hate comments and stuff, you know,
Right.
because a lot of people definitely get into that and like let that stop them,
Right.
which is bad. Because like fuck, who cares about what people say?
Yeah.
Like, you think it's good, then put that shit out.
I used to definitely respond to some people when they would write like something just trying to be slick and hateful. I'm like, bro, like
Yeah,
you took 5 seconds to comment something negative. Why don't you just use those 5 seconds to fucking lead a better life?